Hi everyone, my name is Tatiana. I appreciate you joining me for the Excel efficiency session today. And the next 40 minutes will be spent on learning some Excel efficiency tricks, some shortcuts, some macros, pivot tables, all the skills that would make you super fast and efficient in Excel and would save you up to 1 whole month this year. So let's get started. I'm going to share the screen with you. And you can see here my background. I spent over 8 years in banking, working in banking, and over 15 years in adult financial education and corporate training. And most of the training I provided in the last 5 years, it was Excel financial modeling, LBO, M&A models. I'm also the owner of the company that's called Key Skill Set, and we provide educational games to build muscle memories and to sharpen your skills in Excel, financial modeling, PowerPoint, Python, and more. So as I mentioned, our agenda for this session is to focus on Excel efficiency, first of all, and we will go over Excel power. Excel is powerful, and you can really save up to the whole month this year if you apply all new tricks you will learn during this session. And I will prove it to you. Also, 80% of time in Excel is spent on navigating and formatting. And we will go over some Excel shortcuts and tricks that would make you super fast in accomplishing those tasks. So this 80% of time would be cut in half at least. And I would promote mouse-free use of Excel during that session, because basically every time you reach for the mouse, you spend these precious microseconds that then end up being minutes, hours, and months of your life. So shortcuts is the best use of Excel. Mouse-free is the best use of Excel. We also will cover some macros recording, and I will prove to you that macros actually are not that scary as you would think. And at the same time, it can automate your work so much and help you so much in your daily tasks and reports and save you, again, tons of time. And last but not least, we're going to cover pivot tables and charts information to make you super fast and efficient while working with the large data sets. So let's take a look at how powerful Excel is and how powerful it is for you to know Excel tricks and shortcuts to save your precious time. Time is the most valuable resource on earth, and you want to use it wisely, even when working in Excel. So let's take a look. Let's say we want to sum up all the sales for all the divisions here. There are several ways to do that. So I hope none of you guys would go and do it this way, because it's not the most efficient one, right? Excel has over 1 million rows, and that might take you a while if it's a large data set. So most of you would use sum function, which is great, and it's a good way to use that and sum up all the sales above. However, it would take around 3 seconds. There is a better way and faster way of doing it, and that would be a shortcut alt equals. It takes you microseconds to accomplish these tasks, and on one side, it does not seem like that much of a time saved, just 3 seconds, but saving 3 seconds 20 times a day, and I easily use alt equals 20 times a day, would save you the whole minute. And then knowing and using 60 similar tricks would save you the whole hour per day. And we will learn more than 60 tricks even within the next 40 minutes. Then if you are an extensive Excel user and using Excel every working day, 8-hour a day, then knowing all the speed tricks in Excel would end up saving you the whole month, a year at least. So it is powerful, and that's why we want to focus on saving your precious time while working on the spreadsheets. I'm going to go to the following tab, which is navigating and formatting by using control page down. Control page down go between tabs clockwise. Control page up would go between tabs counterclockwise. Great shortcut to know. Now, in this little model, I want to start with the formula for gross profit in the cell F9. And to get there without using a mouse and the quickest way possible, I'm going to use a shortcut F5, function 5, or Control G. F5, function 5 would open a go-to window for me. In the reference field, I can put F9, the cell I want to go to, click enter, and it'll fly right there. That's how you can quickly navigate throughout your spreadsheet. Here I'm going to put the formula for gross profit, which is net sales minus cost of goods sold. And then I'm going to edit or audit this formula with the shortcut F2, function 2. It would show me the formula, and I can change it if I made any mistakes here. I can change it right here in the cell rather than going to the formula bar, which also saves you time, right? I like the formula, beautiful. Now I want to fill that formula all the way to the right to the following years. So I would not go with Control C, Control V here for a simple reason. What if instead of just 5 more years, we want to fill 20 more years, 50 more years, much more column to fill up? That would take a while as well. Not the most efficient way to do that. So here I would use the shortcut Control R to fill, right? And I love this shortcut as much as Alt equals. It saves me tons of time. So with Shift right arrow, I would highlight the cells where I want to fill the formula to, and then use Control R. And you can see that it flew beautifully and filled the formula the way I needed it to. Amazing. Now the next is EBITDA. With Control arrow down, I would fly to the next filled cell, arrow down to go to F12 for EBITDA. And here I'll create a formula for EBITDA again, equals Control up, minus up arrow, gross profit minus sales and general and administrative expense. Enter. F2 function 2 to audit the formula. I like that. I want to fill it to the right. But again, what if I have 20,000 columns, not just 6 columns to fill, right? In this case, I'm going to use what I call the bridge. Instead of going with Shift right arrow like we've done before, I will go arrow up, Control right arrow to go to the end of contiguous range, arrow down, Shift Control left arrow to fill the cells, and it will grab the cells to the first completed cell, and Control R from here. Beautiful. Very nice. Now, the next thing I want to do in this model is complete these drivers, and I would go to J15 to do so. F5 function 5 for go to window, and J15 cell I want to fly to. Here, I'm going to build what's called Flatline. I will assume that the drivers for 2022 and 2023 absolutely same as for 2021. So all I want to do is put equal sign the previous cell. So it flows beautifully. Enter. And now I like the formula for all the drivers and all following years. I'm gonna go with shift right arrow and down arrow and highlight the whole area where I want to use that formula. And then if Control R is to fill formula and format to the right, then to fill it down would be Control D. So I'm gonna go Control R, Control D, and my model is basically completed. I can audit it with F2 and I can see that it all beautifully flowed through the model. Why would I use Flatline instead of inserting just numbers here? Because if I want to check other projections, and let's say gross margin I project for the projected years is not 25 but 20, I would change only one number in the cell I15 to 20, and it would flow through the whole model. So Flatline is the best way to navigate here. Next would be formatting. And I can see that I have a beautiful format for gross profit. I like it. I want to apply the same format for the EBITDA. I'm going to use paste special function for that. I'm going to go ahead to any cell where I like the format. Let's say it's F9. I'm going to control C, copy this format. Control C. Control down arrow to go to the cells I want to highlight. Control shift right arrow to highlight all the cells where I want to change the format. And then Control Alt V would be your paste special shortcut. I love this shortcut. It has so many possibilities. And that's the window that would come up if I click Control Alt V. And the way I remember that, Control V would paste information. If I copied something, Control C, Control V, I'll throw Alt into the mix, Control Alt V, and that would give me a paste special window. And here you can see that I actually can paste only formulas or only values or only formats and so on and so forth. I want to paste only formats, and I can see that T is highlighted. So to go to formats option without using a mouse once, I'm going to click T because it's underlined. T, enter. Beautiful. I just pasted the format I wanted. I also want to change the column width of the column K because it's wider than the rest of the cells. I want them all be the same size. I do like the width of the column F. So all I'm going to do is basically paste the width of the column F with a paste special again. It's already copied. It's still copied with Control C. You can see these running dashes, right? So Control Alt V will pull up the paste special window for me. And you can see that here's our column width function that we want to use to make the width of column K equals to the width of column F. And we can see that W is underlined. So that's exactly what I'm going to use to go to the column width without using a mouse. Enter, boom. That's amazing. Now I would like to do the last formatting action here for my little model. I would like to put a right border right here between historical years and projected years. So I would need to highlight H4 to H8 F18 to insert the right border. And instead of going here with F5, function 5, go to window, and then highlighting with Control Shift down or up arrows, I'm gonna highlight the whole range using go to Windows only. So F5, function 5 for go to Windows, and in the reference cell field, I'm gonna put the range I would like to highlight. It's H4, semicolon, to H18. Enter, and it highlighted the range I would like to work with. Beautiful. Now, my right border is on my ribbon, Excel ribbon right here. And you can see that my ribbon is actually shut. With Control F1, I can shut or unshut my ribbon. However, I do like it shut because why would I want to see all these actions which I don't use in the moment when working with a large model, when I can have much more space here for my model and to see what's going on my actual spreadsheet. That's why I keep it shut with Control F1. And then to access the ribbon, I would use Alt button on your keyboard. Alt button would make all these letters on my ribbon pop up. And this way, Excel navigates you what letter to use next to access the function you would like to perform. In my case scenario, I would like to insert right border. So I'm gonna click Alt, and then I know right border is on the ribbon home. So H would be my next click. Alt, H. Then for borders, I can see that next would be B. Alt, H, B. And then for the right border, it would be the letter R. So Alt, H, B, R. Let's check it. It just happened. I did insert my right border with Alt, H, B, R. And by the way, when I put shortcuts like that, Control plus C, it means you need to click Control and C simultaneously at the same time. But when I put Control Alt H B R one after another without using plus sign, it means you need to click one button after another and not all at the same time to complete the action. Beautiful. So we inserted right border. I like that. However, Alt HBR is four different letters I have to click to complete the action. Is there a way to optimize that? So I'm going to use Control Z. I just deleted basically the right border, right? And I would like to put your attention to the top left corner of my Excel spreadsheet, where I have my quick access toolbar. And you can see that I have the right border right here on the ribbon. And I actually can access that with the Alt button as well. Let me try that, Alt. And you can see that next to the top, next to the right border, I have number 4. So Alt 4 would input the right border for me. How do they do that? Most of you probably have this floppy disk on your ribbon, arrow to the left, arrow to the right. And this is such a precious space in Excel to waste on these functions, because floppy disk, what it does, it saves the document. Everyone knows that we can save the document with Control+S shortcut. Arrow to the left is basically undo. Control+Z would undo the action for you. Arrow to the right is redo. Control+Y will redo the action for you. So by knowing these simple shortcuts, you don't really need them on your precious quick access toolbar. For everyone, I would recommend to use this space for the functions in Excel that are difficult to access on the ribbon, like right border, I use a lot. There are 4 clicks. I can do it with 2 clicks using Quick Access Toolbar. So think of any actions in Excel you use all the time that are difficult to reach on your ribbon and put them on the Quick Access Toolbar. How do you do that? Let me show it to you. Alt to access the ribbon, F for file, T for options right here, and then Q for quick access toolbar right here. So I just used Alt, F, T, Q. This way I open the window, Excel options and quick access toolbar as a topic. With Tab on my keyboard, I can go within the Excel window clockwise, and with Shift Tab, I can go within the Excel window counterclockwise. So I don't have to use my mouse here as well. So let's do it. Tab, I jump to the popular commands. I'm gonna use arrow down and choose all commands here. Enter. Now all commands appeared in that window. I'm going to use Tab again, and I'm going to, I want to add, let's say I want to add top border here in addition to the right border. So I'm going to use the first letter. I'm going to find toggle top border. Unfortunately, after that, I really need to go ahead and find it myself. Here it is, toggle top border. I like it. I want to add it. I could use the add button with my mouse, but we are pushing mastery use of Excel as an efficient way. So Alt plus underlined letter, which is A in this case, would click that button for me. A is underlined, right? So Alt A, watch what happened. It just appeared in my list for the quick access toolbar. Beautiful. Let's say I want to delete toggle right border. I would go with Tab. I would move them. I would jump to the toggle right border. And here's my button to remove something in my quick access toolbar. And again, I'm gonna use Alt plus R because R is underlined to click this button without using a mouse. Alt R, and you can see how it just disappeared from my quick access toolbar. If I also can change the order of the list right here, I'm happy with what it is now, and I'm gonna go and click OK, enter, and you can see how right border became top border for me right here. That's quick access toolbar. Again, guys, I would highly recommend you to use that and to customize it for your own needs. Now, next would be macros. Let's go ahead with control page down to the next tab, and let's cover macros. Macros are designed to help you save tons of time in Excel by automating some work you do all the time. Let's say you do something within 2 hours. By using macros, maybe you can do it within seconds by just clicking one button and pre-recording macros before that. That's the main goal of macros, and they're not as scary as they sound. So let's go ahead and take a look what we can do with macros at its capacity and cover macro recordings in that session. So I'm gonna fly to the cell F7, F5, F7, enter. And let's say we just learned that Control R would fill the formula and format to the right. Control D would fill the formula and format down. Is there Control L to fill it to the left? Because I do like the formula I see in front of me. Unfortunately, Control L would not do it for us. I would have to access the ribbon to do that. So let's start with that first. Shift left arrow, and then to fill to the right, I would go Alt to access the ribbon, H for home. Then I would go to fill, which would be F5, Fi, Alt H, Fi, and then I would click L to fill to the left. Alt H, F-I-L. How many clicks is there? Alt H, F-I-L. A lot. Instead of that, I want to create a macro to actually use Control plus L to fill to the left. That would be much easier, right? So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go to the next example, to the cell F13, and create a macro here. First of all, to create a macro, you need a developer on your ribbon. If you don't see developer on your ribbon, it means that Excel hid it from you for a reason. If you don't know how to unhide it, you probably don't even want to use it. To unhide developer on your ribbon, you would go to familiar Alt, F for file, T for options, and then here I would go C to customize the ribbon. Alt, F, T, C. And in that window, you'll see the developer tab right here. If you don't have it checked here, that means that you don't have it on your ribbon. You just want to check that box for the developer to appear on your ribbon, and check and uncheck the box in Excel without using a mouse would be a spacebar. I do have developer on my ribbon, so to access it, Alt, and then you can see that I would use the letter L, and different options would appear. Today, we will take a look into record macros and just macros on that ribbon. We will record the macro to create Control L shortcut to fill to the left. So let me highlight necessary range with Shift left arrow, and I'm gonna start recording macro to fill to the left. As soon as I click Alt, L for developer, R to start recording, it will start recording literally every action that I'm gonna perform in Excel. So you need to be extra careful here. As soon as you are done with the action and want to stop recording, you click Alt, L, R again, and it will stop it, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Alt, L, R. I'm gonna use fill left as a macro name, tap to go within Excel window clockwise, and I'm gonna assign shortcut key, which is Control L. Here you need to be very careful when assigning shortcut key to the macro. you don't want to use existing Excel shortcuts such as Control-Z, Control-C, Control-V, and so on and so forth. Because basically what you would do then, you would overwrite with a macro the existing Excel shortcuts. And let's say we would put Control-Z here to undo. So every time we would use Control-Z, instead of undoing my action, it would fill to the left. So be careful and use shortcuts that are not existing shortcuts in Excel. Also, I don't want to use Shift L here or capitalize here, because then the shortcut would be Control Shift L. I just want Control L. So I'm using the small letter L here. I'm good to go. I'm ready to start recording. So I'm going to click Enter and go and fill to the left with Alt H F I L. Beautiful. I just filled to the left. I completed the action I wanted to complete and record. And I'm going to click Alt L R to stop recording. And I just stopped it, right? Beautiful. Let's see if we have that macro actually saved now. I'm going to go Alt L, and then you can see that you can access existing macros on the ribbon with the PM buttons. Alt L PM will open a macro window for you. And here you can actually run the macro. You can edit it and edit the code. You can delete it if you want. If you made a mistake and recorded something you didn't want to record, you can delete it and start all over. Or you can access options. And remember, guys, to access a button without actually using a mouse, you would use Alt plus underlined letter, which is O for options. Alt O would open macro options here, and I can change the shortcut here, for example, right? Beautiful. It does exist. Let me try and apply it. I'm gonna go to the cell F19, highlight the range, and use Control L. Oops, it did happen. Beautiful. One more amazing thing you can do, you can actually put macros in the quick access toolbar. We discussed about that today. So you create an action that would automate your process, and also you can access it with just 2 clicks, Alt and the following number. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, to access quick access toolbar would be Alt FTQ. So now with tab, I'm going to go clockwise. I jump to popular commands. I'm going to use arrow down, and instead of all commands like last time, I'm going to use macros here, enter. And in the next window, I can find all macros that I've created. Right now, it's just one field left. So that's exactly what I want to add into my quick access toolbar. And remember, clicking the button would be Alt plus underlined letter A. Let's do it. Alt A, and it appeared in my quick access toolbar list. Beautiful. However, what happens is Excel assigns the same sign for the macros, for any macros you create. And I want to go creative here, and I want to identify this with a different icon, right? So I can go and click the button Modify with Alt and underlined letter M. Alt M. And I can pick any icon I like. Let's say I like this smiley face, beautiful. And instead of this macro, I can see the smiley face here. I can also change the order. Let's say I want it to be the very first one, beautiful, and then I can go ahead, click enter or OK, and I can see that my smiley face macro appeared right here on my quick access toolbar. And now all I want to do is just use this option I just created to see if it works. So we're gonna go to the cell F25, highlight necessary cells, Alt to access quick access toolbar, 1 to access smiley face, and we do have it working. Beautiful, guys. That's macros for you. I bet you agree with me. It's not as scary as it sounds, and it is very, very powerful for you to create and automate any hard work you're doing in Excel and save tons of time. Beautiful, guys. Now let's move into our last topic for that session would be pivot tables and charts. Pivot table is great to use on large data sets. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, I need to be within the table I want to create a pivot table for. So I'm going to jump in a random cell within that table. Then I'm going to use Alt and for insert, V for pivot table to pull up the window, create pivot table. You can see that Excel automatically grabbed the whole table I'm creating a pivot table for. That's perfect for me. If you want to change it, you can change it right here or press enter if you're okay with it. And Excel will create a separate tab for you where you can play with the pivot table fields. Those fields are listed here to the right. It's basically all the topics taken from our previous table right here, organized in a nice way. So for example, if we want to pull up very quickly the sum of gross profit for separate cities, I'm going to take the city and grab it to the rows. And here, by the way, it's okay to use the mouse. I grabbed it with a mouse. It's probably one of the few cases when I encourage you guys to use a mouse. It's easier for pivot tables, and that's the whole idea behind pivot tables. User-friendly, easy to use, mouse-friendly as well. So I grabbed and dragged city with a mouse. I'm going to take gross profit and drag it to values, and you can see how in literally two little actions I created a sum of gross profit for each separate city. Let's say I want to break down it by client as well. I'm going to grab client here. I'm going to drag it to the rows, and you can see how it created a table where you can unshut some information. And if you want to switch the rows, for example, you want to see clients, and within each client you would like to see the city, you can change the order right here. I'm going to grab client and put it on top, and you see how the table is rearranged in that case scenario. I also can take city and put it, for example, into columns, and it would change my table as well. So that's how you play with it. Easy, right? Not as scary. There's also some tools you can use to filter pivot table more. And if you take a look into the ribbon, when you work with pivot table, you have two extra tools on your ribbon: pivot table analyze and design. Design would stand for changing design of the pivot table, creating banded rows, changing the color, and so on and so forth. And in pivot table analyze, you have a couple amazing tools that I would like to share with you. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to click Alt, JT for pivot table analyze. And then you can see here two great tools I would highly recommend you to use with pivot tables: insert slicer and insert timeline. I'm going to insert slicer first. So Alt, JT, SF. And let's say I want to slice it by products or filter it by products. I'm going to click OK. I have products right here. Let's say I want to see only blue product, and it will reorganize the table for me. If I want to see blue, green, and orange, it will reorganize the pivot table for me as well. Great tool. Let's take a look at the at another tool, Alt, JT. And now we go for timeline, ST. And here you can organize or slice it or filter it by dates. So I'm going to click that, and you can see how timeline appears here. I can filter it by months, quarters, or years, or even days. Let's say I pick quarters, and let's say I want to see the first quarter of 2009. I'm just going to click on that, and it will filter it by quarter one, blue, green, orange, client by client, and by city. Beautiful, right? Perfect. So let me unfilter all my slicers and show you one more beautiful tool for pivot tables. I'm going to go to pivot table analyze again with Alt JT, and here I will find pivot charts with C. Excel will give me an option to pick a pivot chart I would like to use. I'm going to use Pi right now as an example, enter. And Excel will give me an example of the chart. And I actually can play with it. I can change colors, for example, here. I can add data labels or take them back. I can add or delete legend, and so on and so forth. I can change the title of my pivot chart as well, and so on and so forth. More importantly, I can also filter within the chart, the information within the chart. For example, here, all cities are listed. However, maybe I want to use only New York. So I'm going to pick New York, and only New York information will be shown on the chart. Moreover, only New York information will be shown on the pivot table. Let's unfilter it to all the cities and see how the pivot table will include back all the cities. Magical, right? So basically, pivot chart is also one of the filtering tools for the pivot table to play with. Thank you so much for your attention, guys. That's pretty much all topics we wanted to cover within Excel efficiency session. Now I encourage you to go and play Excel efficiency game created by Key Skillset, where you can build this muscle memory for 200 shortcuts, 70 formulas, pivot tables, macros, and more to really become an Excel guru and fly on the spreadsheets. Thank you so much, guys, and enjoy.